Good evening, everyone. At some point in our lives, we've all been doubted, underestimated, mocked, maybe even betrayed. And in those moments, there's a voice that rises from deep within us that says, "I'll show them." Now, we often confuse revenge with retaliation. We think revenge is about getting even. But real revenge, the kind that lasts, the kind that echoes, isn't about proving others wrong with words. It's about proving yourself right with results. When people hurt us, our instinct is to shut down, to protect ourselves by building walls that keep others out. We tell ourselves it's for survival, that it's the safest thing to do, and in a way, that makes sense. After all, who wants to be hurt twice by the same kind of betrayal, the same kind of disappointment? So we isolate, we toughen up. We create a version of ourselves that's harder, colder, less vulnerable. But here's the truth. Pain is not our enemy, stagnation is, numbness is. The loss of our capacity to feel and grow is the real danger. Pain, when embraced properly, is not something that breaks us, it's something that shapes us. There's a fire that lives inside pain, a heat, a drive, a rawness that no other experience can replicate, but it only becomes fuel if we allow it. Most people let it become poison. They let it burn through their joy, their trust, their vision for the future. But what if we chose to direct that fire into our mission instead of our defense? Think about Steve Jobs. This man helped build Apple from the ground up, poured his vision, his obsession with excellence into that company. And then what happened? He was fired, rejected by the very board of directors he helped put in place. Imagine the humiliation, the heartbreak, the betrayal. It was a moment that could have defined him with bitterness. But he didn't shrink, he didn't go quiet. Instead, he built something new, something daring. He created Next. He transformed Pixar. And years later, he came back to Apple not with a vendetta, but with a vision that would reshape the world. That wasn't just a comeback, it was a renaissance. This isn't about revenge. This is about alchemy, turning hurt into healing, rejection into momentum, betrayal into brilliance. Too often, we think the answer to pain is armor. But the real answer is transformation. When we're hurt, we don't need to become less human, we need to become more focused, more grounded, more awake. The fire of pain, if you let it, will clarify your purpose like nothing else. Here's the reality. Every one of us will be betrayed at some point. We will be let down. People will say things behind our backs. They will leave us, ignore us, undercut us. Some of the most powerful moments in your life will be the ones you didn't see coming, the conversation that suddenly turns cold. The opportunity that evaporates, the partner who gives up on you. You don't get to avoid it. But you do get to decide what comes next. The walls we build may keep others out, but they also keep us in. They keep us from connecting, from growing, from creating something better. And what's worse is that over time, we begin to live behind those walls. We forget what we even built them for. We just start calling it who we are. But what if instead of retreating, we advanced? What if pain was a spark, not a signal to stop? Every great leader, artist, creator, or thinker has one thing in common. They turned pain into something meaningful. They let it fuel their resilience, their vision, their devotion to a cause greater than themselves. Take Oprah Winfrey, abused, abandoned, told she would amount to nothing. She didn't let that define her. She didn't build walls around her heart and hide. She built a platform, one of the most influential in history, to speak truth, to empower, to connect. She used her pain to connect to the pain of others, and through that connection, created a movement. Or Malala Yousafzai, shot in the head by the Taliban for daring to advocate for girls' education. That kind of violence could have silenced her forever. But instead of building walls, she built a message. She amplified her voice. She let the fire of injustice forge her into a symbol of hope for millions. That is the power of pain when wielded with courage. You don't need to be a global icon to do this. Maybe your betrayal came from a business partner who lied, a spouse who walked away, a friend who vanished in your darkest moment. That pain is real, that fire is real, but so is your potential to rise with it. You're not defined by what happened to you, you're defined by how you choose to respond. The next time life knocks you down, I want you to remember something. Pain is a messenger. It's trying to show you where your boundaries are. It's trying to point you to what matters most. And if you can stay with it, not run, not harden, not shut down, but truly stay with it, you'll discover something remarkable. You'll discover a clarity, a determination, a mission that wasn't there before. Pain is a teacher, and its lesson is strength. There's a reason we remember those who rose from hardship more than those who had it easy. Because deep down, we all know that greatness is forged, not gifted. It's built in the crucible of rejection, of failure, of humiliation. You don't have to like it. You just have to choose to use it. So the next time you feel that sting, the betrayal, the silence, the setback, don't build a wall. Build a fire, let it warm your purpose, let it light your path. Let it remind you of who you are and what you're here to do, not in spite of the pain, but because of it. You were not born to be protected. You were born to be powerful, and that power lives on the other side of pain, not behind a wall trying to avoid it. Let your pain push you forward, let it refine you, let it build something bold and beautiful inside you. Not revenge, revolution. We live in a world obsessed with metrics, likes, followers, trophies, job titles. From the moment we take our first steps, we're pushed toward a performance. Be the best, win the prize. Be seen, be validated. Somewhere along the way, we confuse achievement with affirmation. We begin to live our lives not from the inside out, but from the outside in. We stop becoming and start proving. And when you live to prove, you're no longer steering your own life. You're reacting. You're defending. You're performing for people who may never actually see you. When you're caught in the cycle of trying to prove your worth to a parent who doubted you, a boss who dismissed you, a friend who betrayed you, you're giving them power over your future. Every step forward becomes entangled with their voice in your head. You may succeed, but you won't be free, because your success will always need an audience to matter. But there's another way, a quieter, deeper way. It's the path of becoming. Becoming is not about doing more. It's about aligning more. It's waking up and asking not, how can I be impressive today? But how can I be more of who I am? Becoming asks us to trust that our value is not something we chase, it's something we reveal over time through intention, discipline, and service. You see, success built on proving demands applause. Success built on becoming doesn't need one. It speaks for itself. Think of Oprah Winfrey. She didn't try to dismantle every critic. She didn't run around the media landscape saying, "Watch me prove you wrong." She simply kept becoming. She focused on her craft, on her voice, on her gift. And in doing so, she built something no critic could take away, a legacy, a truth, a story that mattered. And the very people who once rejected her, they faded into irrelevance not because she fought them, but because she outgrew them. We all have voices that once wounded us, some small, some deep. A teacher who told us we weren't smart enough. A peer who called us worthless. A family member who made us feel invisible. But here's the truth. Those voices only stay powerful if we keep performing for them. The moment we stop dancing to their tune is the moment we reclaim our path. When you focus on becoming, truly becoming, you stop measuring yourself by other people's doubts. You start measuring yourself by your own evolution. Not am I better than them, but am I better than I was yesterday? And not do they believe in me now, but do I believe in what I'm building? That shift changes everything. Growth, mastery, purpose, these are not destinations. They are ways of being, and they don't happen overnight. But here's the thing, when you chase them, really chase them, you become unstoppable. Not because you're louder than the critics, but because you've stopped needing their validation altogether. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who quietly built something extraordinary. The artist who painted through rejection. The entrepreneur who kept showing up when no one cared. The athlete who kept training even when no cameras were rolling. These people didn't chase success to prove something. They chased it because it lit them up inside, and that kind of success, the kind that's fueled by passion and grit, it's magnetic. It's contagious, it doesn't scream, it glows. When you stop needing to prove and start choosing to become, you take your power back. You take your narrative back. Suddenly, you're not chasing trophies, you're chasing truth. You're not obsessed with perception, you're grounded in purpose. This isn't to say the pain disappears, the wounds, the rejection, the doubt, they still hurt. But instead of letting that pain drive a performance, you let it refine your purpose. You use it. You turn the pain into clarity, into fuel, into fire. Because here's what they never tell you about revenge. It's exhausting. It's a treadmill you can never get off. You'll prove something to one person, only to realize another has taken their place, and then another, and then another. You spend your whole life trying to silence people who were never really listening in the first place. But becoming is quiet. It's slow, it's deeply personal. It's building something so real, so rooted, so unapologetically you, that one day you wake up and realize you're no longer proving anyone wrong. You're simply living a life that makes their opinion irrelevant. So if you're tired of trying to be impressive, let that be your signal. If you feel like you're constantly performing for approval that never arrives, let that be your awakening. Because the moment you shift from proving to becoming is the moment you start building something that can last. Not everyone will get it. Not everyone will see it. But that's not the point. The point is this: when you live to prove, you might achieve. But when you live to become, you transcend, you rise, you endure, and in that quiet becoming, you find something far more powerful than revenge. You find peace. You find purpose. You find yourself. There is a moment in every person's journey when they are underestimated, ridiculed, or dismissed. Maybe it's after a failure. Maybe it's just for daring to dream big. In those moments, the urge to defend ourselves, to prove them wrong by retaliating, to fire back with words or actions, it's intense. It's natural. We want justice. We want them to feel what we felt. We want to escalate. But that reaction, that desire to match their energy, never leads to peace, only more chaos. It may feel good in the moment, but it doesn't build anything. It only breaks. True strength is restraint. True power is elevation. It's saying, I see what you're trying to drag me into, but I won't meet you there. Because when you escalate, you stoop. When you elevate, you lead. It's tempting to believe the loudest person is the strongest, that the person who claps back the hardest wins, that revenge is a battle we must fight in public. But the truth is, the most transformative kind of revenge isn't loud at all. It's silent, it's patient, it's consistent, and it's rooted not in proving someone wrong, but in proving yourself right. Take a look at LeBron James, one of the most scrutinized athletes of all time. He was branded as overrated before he even played a professional game. He was dissected on television, mocked online, and doubted at every turn. If anyone had a right to fire back, to unleash words soaked in rage, it was him. But he chose a different route. He didn't post angry videos. He didn't retaliate in interviews. He invested in schools. He lifted up kids. He quietly stacked up rings. He built businesses. He became a force for change. And all the while, the critics, they faded into silence. That's what it means to elevate. To elevate means you refuse to let someone else's pettiness shrink your purpose. You don't fight small battles when you're built for big victories. You don't spend your time trying to change minds that were never open to begin with. You focus on the mission. You focus on becoming more. Not just to show the world what you're capable of, but to become the kind of person who doesn't need the world's approval. Because success isn't fueled by ego, it's driven by vision. And vision demands clarity. When you engage in drama, in petty retaliation, in online arguments or office gossip wars, you muddy your vision. You get stuck in battles that distract you from the war that really matters. The war between who you are and who you're meant to be. Every time you choose to escalate, you become reactive. You lose control. But when you elevate, you reclaim your power. You're no longer dancing to the tune of your critics. You're writing your own symphony. There's a quiet dignity in walking away from nonsense, in choosing to take the high road even when the low road is wide open and filled with easy jabs. The high road is hard, it's lonely, it doesn't offer the same instant gratification, but it leads somewhere meaningful, and more often than not, it inspires others along the way. Think about the leaders, the mentors, the legends you admire. They aren't the ones who fought every insult or clapped back at every troll. They're the ones who moved differently. They walked with purpose. They didn't waste time proving they were right. They built things so undeniable, no one could say otherwise. That's not weakness. That's discipline. And it takes more strength to stay silent and focused than to scream for attention. To outgrow your enemies, that's the greatest revenge. Because nothing confuses a critic more than seeing you rise. When someone expects you to fail, to break, to snap, and instead you expand, that's power. And when you outlast them, when you keep showing up year after year, growing, improving, becoming more, that's dominance. Not over them, but over your old self. You win when you refuse to quit, when you stop feeding the noise and start nurturing your roots. And to outlove them, that's legacy, that's transformation. Because when you choose love for your work, for your people, for your future instead of hate for your past, you break the cycle. You stop the generational loop of bitterness. You turn pain into purpose. When you elevate, you give others permission to do the same. You show them it's possible to be wronged and still be kind, to be misunderstood and still be focused, to be hurt and still choose healing. And in that, you become not just successful but significant. So the next time someone tries to pull you into a petty fight, remember this. Escalation is easy, it's immediate, it's loud, but it never lasts. Elevation, that's legacy work. That's the kind of revenge that doesn't just silence doubters, it transforms lives. You weren't put here to win arguments. You were put here to build empires. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them try to bring you down. You keep building, keep becoming, keep rising. That's how you win. We live in a world obsessed with instant gratification, fast wins, overnight fame, viral success, and yet, the most meaningful accomplishments, the kind that leave a mark, that ripple through generations, they never come quickly. They are the reward of consistency, resilience, and relentless belief in the vision. Playing the long game isn't about being patient for the sake of it. It's about anchoring yourself to something bigger than the moment. It's about knowing where you're going, even when nobody else sees the path. There's a temptation to prove people wrong quickly, especially when they've doubted you, dismissed you, underestimated you. But when you rush toward revenge, you build your foundation on emotion, not intention. And anything built on bitterness is bound to crumble under pressure. Because when the applause fades and the critics go silent, you're left with one question. Did I build this because I believed in it, or just to spite them? J.K. Rowling didn't explode into success because she was trying to prove anyone wrong. She didn't go on Twitter rants against the publishers who rejected her. She didn't spend her energy attacking the world that told her no. Instead, she chose to keep building, keep writing, keep dreaming. Each rejection letter wasn't a wall, it was a test. And she passed it, not by shouting louder, but by showing up again and again. The truth is, people will doubt you. That's almost guaranteed. They'll talk, they'll roll their eyes, they'll say you're wasting your time, but what they don't realize is that their doubt is fuel, not fire. You don't need to respond with rage. You respond with progress. You don't need to argue. You just need to show up. The long game is lonely. It often feels like you're walking uphill in silence while others are racing downhill with noise and celebration. But here's the twist. Most of those who sprint burn out. They mistake noise for momentum, but momentum is built in the quiet, in the discipline, in the mundane, in the moments nobody is watching. You want to silence the critics. Don't yell back. Build something so powerful they have to whisper. You want to make them regret doubting you. Don't throw stones. Create something so enduring that it outlives their opinions. Success that lasts is slow, cooked. It's layered, it's tested, and it's always earned, never given. It demands you keep going when nothing is working, when no one is clapping, and when quitting feels easier than continuing. But those who are driven by vision, not vengeance, will always be the ones still standing when the dust settles. Because the long game isn't about proving your worth, it's about becoming it. When you finally succeed, when the crowd stands, when the critics turn into admirers, when your name echoes in rooms where it was once forgotten, that moment holds more weight than any round of applause can convey. It is not just the confirmation that you made it. It is a test of who you've become. Because success isn't just a finish line, it's a mirror. And what it reflects isn't just your achievements, it's your character. You will have every reason to gloat. The memory of being overlooked, underestimated, maybe even humiliated, it lingers. The temptation to rub your success in the faces of those who doubted you is real. You might want to tweet it, post it, make the speech they can't ignore, but ask yourself, what do you really win when you win small? Grudges are heavy. They weigh on the soul long after the battle is over. And when you carry them into your moment of triumph, they shrink your victory. They turn your spotlight into a shadow. Because revenge, even when justified, doesn't elevate you, it chains you to the past. It keeps you tethered to those who once tried to keep you down. Grace, however, is different. Grace liberates. Grace is the silent confidence that doesn't need validation. It's the power to rise without crushing. It's the decision to use your success not to settle scores, but to raise the standard. There's a reason people still quote Michelle Obama's words, "When they go low, we go high." It wasn't just a clever line. It was a declaration of how true leaders carry themselves. She didn't let the insult define the moment. She didn't give it her energy. She redirected the spotlight toward dignity, and the world saw it. That's the kind of strength that leaves a mark long after the applause fades. Think about the people who inspired you, the ones who made you believe you could keep going. Were they petty? Were they vengeful? Or were they generous with their power? Chances are the ones who shaped you didn't win by tearing others down. They won by lifting others up even when they had every reason not to. You will have your moment. And when you do, choose to be the example. Choose to model what success with integrity looks like. Let your rise be about more than just you. Let it be a rising tide that others can ride. Because in the end, grace doesn't just elevate others, it elevates you. And that's not just how you win, that's how you lead. So here's what I'll leave you with. Revenge isn't about vengeance, it's about vision. It's about using the worst moments in your life to build your best self. Don't scream, build. Don't chase, create. Don't fight for attention. Command it by becoming the kind of person who can't be ignored. Because at the end of the day, your success will speak louder than your anger ever could. And when it does, they'll remember. But more importantly, you'll never forget who you had to become to get there. Thank you.